Hello and welcome everybody to GameGuru MAX broadcast number 69, and this is an opportunity for those attending in the live chat to ask me any questions you want and I'll be happy to answer them. If you put a question mark near it, that makes it all the better for me to find it and read it out. But before that, let's just make sure sound is behaving itself today. A constant crisis. But let's just see if we have my sound coming through. Already got a complaint. Music is very low. Nothing I can do about that. The music's just been switched off. But I apologise to everybody, the world in fact, for having low music. Okay, you can hear me. That is great. And it's actually quite appropriate because this week's broadcast is going to be very much about sound effects, things like this. And I'm going to even try and demonstrate sound, which is going to be a challenge. But I've managed to find a slider that might do a really good job of demonstrating what you hear. What I hear, I'm hoping you hear it as well. So now you can hear me. Absolutely start asking your questions. I'll answer as many as I can at the end of this broadcast, and the ones I don't get to, I will put proper answers in the GameGuru forums along with a recording of this broadcast. So without further ado, I'm going to launch the software because it's within the software that I get to demonstrate what I want to show this week, which specifically is material sounds. So specifically, it's the player footfall effects. So the idea is that when the player is walking around on different materials, you want different sounds to occur. So these are some of the things that you're going to get in this Friday's build, if you're lucky enough to be a pre-order user. And there'll be a few more things. This is just the sort of list we've got so far as of halfway through the week. So obviously you're familiar with these from previous broadcasts. We're making a few changes in terms of the flow, so it gets a little bit more common sense for you and a bit more help on this screen. But we're just going to go straight into my test level that I've been playing around with. I have many test levels. This is one of them. And this is where I get to demonstrate the different materials. As you can see, I've been using the terrain painter to paint some gravel, some sand, some grass, some snow, and that building is made out of wood, and this pipe over here is made out of metal. All different materials. So what I'm going to try is I'm going to make a sound with the game, and I'm going to dial up the audio on the sound output, and let me know if you can hear the footfalls. I'll keep an eye out on the live chat, and if you can't hear the footfalls, then I'll describe them to you. But hopefully you'll be able to hear it. So let me just get into the software first, and then I'm going to play around with my slider. Oh, yikes. That's not too bad. It could have been a PC hardware crash, which I imagine you don't want in the middle of a live broadcast. So let's try this again. So go into my test level, like so, and then we're going to run it, like so. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to go into a second screen, and I'm going to dial up. Ooh, not maximize. I'm going to dial that up right up to the max. Let's see how far up I can get with it. So if I just do a jump, let's see if we can make it even louder. So all the way up to 11. Anyone gets that reference? So I'm just going to walk around, and I'm going to keep checking the chat, see if everyone can hear me okay. Right, so this is gravel. Alright, and this is snow. You'll also find out there's different footfall sound effects whether you're walking or running. It's different sound effects based on those two modes. This is grass, running and then walking. And this is sand. And running on sand. Then running on wood. walking on real wood. Bit of creaking. And then if we run outside onto our little pipe. And of course walking on it as well. Okay, so before I go any further, otherwise this was a very mute demonstration, I'm just going to scroll down the chat because I didn't scroll through and it didn't scroll for me. Yes, it seems everyone can hear. That's great, wonderful, blah, 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 blah. Awesome. So you did hear all that cool stuff. All right, so there's still a few more things to do. I probably haven't rehearsed this, so this might go horribly wrong. But what I'm going to do is go down to the player, and I'm going to set the player up as... Where were you? Yeah, melee combat, invincible. And I'm also going to drop in a character, because one of the other things I want to demonstrate is... Here we go. Drop this guy in. What I want to demonstrate is we've also added more animations to both the soldier and to the zombie. So now you can see we've got zombies that can actually be quite fast. I don't know whether I can kill him. Okay, he's going to be annoying me. Let me just delete him. But I did want to show you that that's just one of the animations. We've got 2 more run animations, 3 more walk animations, and some other actions as well. So those will be folded into the zombie character for Friday. So you get different looking zombies and also different animating zombies as well. So let me just run without the zombie, because what I wanted to demonstrate, and we need fists for this, is we have material sounds. The different, so you've got wood. You have 2 sound effects, in fact. You've got the wood sound effect, and then you've got the punch sound effect. So they basically overlap. So if we went to barrel, you can hear a clonking noise, and that's more of a wood sound. Now don't worry about the bullet holes. It doesn't really make sense punching a material and then getting a bullet hole. That's simply just a setting of this particular weapon model. Even fists are a form of weapon. We're simply going to remove the Q, which means when you punch, you won't get bullet holes. Whether we actually replace it with a different kind of decal, more of a scorch or some sort of dent, if you punch, maybe that makes sense. But for now, it just shows that material detection system is working. And again, just as you've got footfalls for all the different things, you also have sound effects for when you damage materials as well. Just occurred to me as I was talking, maybe you couldn't hear half the things I said because I've still got my sound effect dialed right up. So I'm going to dial it back down again. So at least you can listen to me for the second half of this broadcast. So that's down to normal levels. And finally, I'm going to bring back the chat, just to make sure that I am still Compass Mendes. Okay, great. So no horrible, not OTT, brilliant. So we got away with that. That was always going to be a risk. Yeah, you've got different modes as well, so you can actually do Alt. That's a different kind of attack when in melee mode. Probably more on that when we start showing maybe melee versus zombie. So with that, I'd now like to show you your own questions. So if I just drag this across, checking the clock. Wow, exactly like last Wednesday, we have 11 minutes in, 4 minutes for official questions. Awesome. Awesome sauce. Now, one thing I've not been demonstrated, but will be worked on, is more AI. We are in the iteration phase now. In addition to adding new animations, we're also making sure that the soldiers behave themselves and make sense, and also add some more properties in the behavior system, so you can take more things on and off, so you get to control exactly how your soldier behaves. So look out for that as well on Friday's build. So let's look for question marks, and we'll start at the top. First question is GameGuru MAX loading faster now? Not only that, it's actually taking up less memory in this build as well. So by Friday, it was really the almighty magic of Preben, vastly reduced the amount of memory GameGuru MAX takes to initially load and then prepare the test levels and then run those levels as well, by the order of gigabytes. So anyone who's on not very much system memory, and you was having a bad time before, well, that what we've done this week should address that in no small way. First question, and this is from Harrison Venter. Is there a way to turn VSync off? Not that I'm aware of. Certainly in GameGuru Classic you could, but we hand over a lot of the work to the Wicked engine, the Wicked graphics engine. And by default, we have the VSync on because it creates a smooth experience. But I know what you mean. You want to switch it off so you can see how fast your FPSs are. But they are actually set to your monitor refresh. So if you want to go higher, I think the settings in your monitor, which lets you go to like 98 Hertz or 120, whatever your problem solution is. There is a settings.ini file, VSync, which is currently set to 1. Try setting it to 0. That actually might switch it all. We may already have added that functionality, but for the most part, you'll want VSync staying on. Question. This is from Excavator Horror Gamer. Is GameGuru MAX loading faster now? We've just asked that, haven't we, Lee? We're answering the questions out of order. I hope you forgive. Okay, going down a little bit. Chuck Pie, question marks. How will early purchasers get Steam credit when the early access is available? That's a great question. Not a clue. But what I will say is that all the pre-order users will be well looked after. You will not be disadvantaged in any way, shape or form. And quite the reverse. We want to look after our pre-order users because you have supported us all this year as we develop GameGuru MAX, and we want to return that faith in us with additional rewards. More on that later and more details on that later, but don't worry. If you've been a pre-order user but you want it on Steam, we'll make sure you get it on Steam. Don't worry too much about that. We'll look after you. And you can quote me on that. Okay, here's a question. It's question mark buried in a big sentence, but we'll go with it anyway. From Zorgo33. Will it be possible to assign multiple textures for multiple parts of models in the model importer? When textures are exported from Substance Painter, they are in parts for each part model texture. That's another great question. At the moment, no. There is just one global material index you assign to your entire model. The only exception to that is if you use in the structure editor, which is the developer tools feature. Each of those parts that you paste down into your structure, they can have different materials. But you're right, there should be some really clever system whereby if you're creating your own models, and you bring them in and they have different material types, you want to assign those different material types. It's not really sort of a beginner's sort of feature. You kind of already have to be like a 3D modeler and then bring those models in. So let's have that conversation outside of this broadcast, and we'll come up with a nice, elegant and simple way that you can assign different material types to the different parts, what you would call different meshes of your model. We already have control over selecting things on a per mesh basis. For example, you can change textures on a per mesh basis. It could simply be an additional drop down box, so you select your specific mesh and then you can select your material type. That's probably how we're going to do it. In fact, the more I think about it, that is just the smartest way because it fits into what you already know about the model importer. So here's another question. This is from Tam51. I wonder if we would be able to assign enemies with, say, a key or health that we can pick up when we kill them. Yeah, that's another great feature. I think that would probably happen a bit later, maybe when we start working on the RPG, because obviously in the RPGs genre, that's kind of the thing, isn't it? Running around killing rats and it drops something and you can collect a lot of them and then buy something in the shop. At the moment, the only thing enemies can drop, you get to control over it, but all they drop is their own weapon with some ammo that belongs to that weapon. That's all they drop right now. But I absolutely do envisage a future where enemies or any object that gets destroyed can actually drop whatever object you want that's also existing in your game. So yeah, great idea. Whether it's for EA, probably not. We're going to focus on shooter. But certainly it should be in the final version when we've got both RPG and puzzle integrated as well. Here's a question from Nomad Soul. How are you planning to integrate the latest Wicked Engine 2021 update? Not for this year. Last time we did it, it was quite traumatic. broke many things and took us a long time to get back to where we wanted to be to carry on working on Max. Don't fancy doing that on the eve of the release. So no, not for 2021. We'll certainly look at it and get excited about the new tech and figure out and cherry pick which bits belong in GameGuru MAX. But that's probably going to be a 2022 task. I'm pretty sure of that. Couple of questions from Excavation. How much will it cost? $49.99. That's the US price. Prices may vary from country to country a little bit. Will there be more free assets? We're only planning the assets that come with the product. That's over 1,000 game-ready assets, high-quality PVR, all the things you would expect from a modern game. We'll provide those with the product for free. Are we planning any more free assets after that? I'm sure we'll continue to create assets simply to demonstrate functionality that will be added for free into the main product. But I don't think there's any plan on the table to create another 1,000 objects or some sort of like free asset pack. That's definitely a 2022 question. Cool, I love it. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for your questions. Looking at the clock, we have gone over the official time, 15 minutes. We're now into Lee's spur time, and so let's get to 20. Let's answer a few more questions. Here we go. This is from Earl of Cloves. Will there be templates for building uniforms, helmets, etc. in the character creator? Yes, there will. It's actually on my task list right now. They won't be comprehensive, but you will have template files, so you can load them into your favorite 3D modeler, and you'll also have a handy high-tech guide on how to get your assets into a particular format, get them into the software, and get to play around. Specifically, there'll be one just about the character creator, and you can create your own character parts and add them to our existing collection of body parts. So yes, you will be able to create your own unique characters that then have the benefit of being completely integrated into GameGuru MAX, along with all its animations, etc. So yeah, look forward to that if you're on the side of the 3D modeler / animator. Here's a question from Super Confident Man. Can characters climb and swim? No, they cannot. Characters can run around on the terrain, they can run inside buildings, they can avoid obstacles and use the nav mesh and then use the AI to find you and play many animations, but they won't be able to climb as such. So if there's a ladder or something like that, they'll certainly be able to climb steps, but they won't be able to climb vertically. And water is basically out of bounds for characters right now. We had it in at one point, but it seemed a bit silly, characters just holding the breath forever under the water. So now the nav mesh stops at the waterline, so they literally won't be able to walk into the water. It's not going to be their friend in the early access version. Ultimately, yes, we'll want characters to do everything players to do for the most part, but for now, characters will stay dry. Looking for a question. We hear the sound a little low, but... Oh, I guess this was my sound test. Okay, well, hopefully you heard some of it, and maybe we can play around with the sound volume in post-production. Maybe. I'm going to have to play it back to see if it was okay. Question, swim sound. Yes, there are sound effects when you're treading the edge of the water, so puddle sound effects, and then when you're completely submerged, you get a different set of sound effects as well, to represent the player moving through the underwater. Do we have any more question marks? Go and scroll through. Here's another one from Super Confident Man. Are there different sounds for when bullets hit different materials? Yes, there are. It's very subtle, and because the gun sound, the gun shooting, is so much louder than the material impact, you can hardly hear it. But sometimes you can. Let's say you're shooting something metal, you might sometimes just pick that up. And maybe in games they do a bit of a sound delay where you can someone else is shooting you from a distance, so you don't hear their guns report. But if something just struck right next to your eardrum, you probably hear that. So maybe you will hear that. It's in there. It's just right now it's very difficult to demonstrate or even confirm that it's actually working. It's a zombie. It's already dead. Good point. Good point. It's definitely not alive. Okay, looking at the clock, we have passed the 20-minute mark, and as my custom, I'm going to pick 2 questions from people who've not asked me a question today in the live chat, and then we'll put the rest of the answers in the forums later on. So, who's not asked a question? That would be lust and the mapping and in the water? Question mark. That's, I can't really make anything with those 4 words. And the next one below that, sound animations? Question mark. I'm sorry, I probably have to read a lot of that thread. I apologise, I'm going to have to read the whole thread to find out what these floating words are, and then I'll do a proper answer for you, Mr. Mapping, or Mrs. Mapping, or Miss Mapping, later on, and I'll do a proper answer for you. So the next question, who's not asked me a question? Here we go, this is from Apollon. Will the characters have stir walk animations? We have animations for them. We have the animations, but when we tried it, it didn't really work. The reason is characters could take the stirs 2 at a time if they're moving fast, or barely get to like 1 step if you've made them move really slow. So you'd have to have like a million kinds of stir animation. And there's also other issues about how it just kind of a stop-start feel to it. So what we've gone for, and it kind of works really good, is the staircases for the most part are using physics ramps, and then the character can basically zip up the staircases very quick and continue to use the slash walk run animations, and that seems to work, and it actually keeps the combat going. It feels more fluid as you're being chased by multiple enemies. But certainly maybe down the road with RPG and you want to create that sense of suspense where you very carefully cutscened a zombie or some creature walking up the steps one by one. So we'll look at that again. It's not impossible. We're already doing similar techniques when a character jumps off a roof. We have animations for that. So there's definitely these trigger points where a character knows that they're starting at the top of something or at the bottom of something, and then you can run some very controlled logic with some animation to create that kind of effect. But it certainly doesn't flow in a combat situation. And for GameGuru MAX's initial release, we're just focusing on that fast shooter gameplay experience. So those were the questions. I'm sure there are more, and I'm sure there's ones we've missed, and I'm sure there's stuff I've answered out of order. But I'll put them all right in the edit. That is, I'll post them onto the GameGuru forums, and you can see all of your answers there if I couldn't get them today. So that's me done for this Wednesday. Obviously, I will continue to develop with my excellent team. We're going to do a build on Friday, which contains everything that you've seen today, plus many more things, probably a lot more things that I've demonstrated today. And so definitely look forward to that. I've also put out an announcement last Friday, but just to remind you that we are looking for demo levels, not big ones, just little demo levels using the assets that we've provided in the builds, and try and demonstrate a particular thing like a key in a door or a switch in a light, or something to do with the nav mesh, or something to do with the recent material stuff that we've done. Just a little demonstration, make it look good. It doesn't have to be like 10 hours of gameplay, just something that demonstrates our thing. The idea of these demos is that people can load them up quickly and kind of very quickly learn how something was put together, like, oh, now I see how I've connected that key to that door, and that's how the door knows it's that key that opens it, things like that. So if you've not already seen the announcement, it's certainly in the forums. We also posted it on Discord if you was on a Discord user. But I wanted to announce it here because it's a great opportunity for me just to remind everyone. The deadline's very short indeed. We'll be looking for these demo submissions at the end of the week. But that's fine. These are small levels, you know, have a go. If you think you've created something that looks pretty neat and other people would enjoy or be able to use or find useful, please send them along. We'll pick the best ones, and there is cash money at the end of it for the ones that we select. In case that was the missing ingredient to this offer, there is cash money at the end of it. Okay, so that's me done. I will be here again next Wednesday at 4 PM GMT. For those who don't know, we've now switched from British summertime to freezing cold winter time, and that's what we call GMT. So if you've enjoyed it, I'm happy, and if you want to see more or hear more of me, please tune in next Wednesday at 4 PM GMT. Thanks for your attention, and goodbye.